This is episode 18 of 19. You Were Never Broken, Part 2. The Peace of Non-Improvement. Self-help fatigue, healing addiction, stop fixing yourself. Episode 18 is for the ones who've been sold the lifelong project of self-improvement, who've been told there's always more to fix, to optimize, to heal. But deep down, they're starting to suspect the truth. Maybe I was never broken to begin with. This episode isn't passive. It is a radical refusal, a rebellion against the self-help industrial complex, and a doorway to peace. You ever notice how the self-help world treats your personality like a cracked iPhone screen? It's fine, but you should probably replace it. Somewhere along the way, working on yourself stopped being a season of life and became a subscription. Like Netflix, but instead of shows, it just recommends new reasons you are not done yet. And listen, hey, I am not anti-growth. I am anti-never arriving. Because there's a very specific kind of exhaustion that hits when you've done the therapy, done the books, done the journaling, done the deep dives, done the inner child check-ins, done the 30-day challenges, done the breath work, done the cold plunges, and somehow you still wake up feeling like you were behind on being a person. That is not healing anymore. That is a performance review you are conducting on yourself forever. So this is a bonus episode, part 2 of You Were Never Broken. This one is for the people who are starting to suspect something almost illegal in modern culture. Maybe you were never a project in the first place. Maybe peace is not on the other side of more fixing. Maybe peace is what shows up when you stop chasing it like a frightened animal in the woods. Today, we are going to draw a hard line between two things: healthy integration and addictive optimization. One makes you more alive. The other makes you more managed. Let's talk about how to leave the loop without using "I'm whole" as an excuse to dodge responsibility. Because wholeness does not cancel accountability. It just cancels shame. All right, let's get into it. Healing ends when you realize you weren't a project in the first place. Act 1. Signal, the core idea and the stakes. Here's the signal, clean and sharp. There are two different loops that look similar from the outside. One is healing. The other is addiction wearing therapy language. Loop 1 is integration. You notice a pattern. You practice a new response. You stabilize. You live your life. Loop 2 is optimization. You notice discomfort. You assume it means something is wrong with you. You hunt a new framework. You get a brief hit of control. Then the discomfort comes back because life is still life. So you hunt again. And the reason this matters is simple. If you confuse normal human discomfort with evidence of brokenness, you will never stop working on yourself. Not because you need to, but because you've been trained to interpret being human as a problem to solve. This is how the self-help industrial complex wins. Not by lying to you directly, but by teaching you to measure your worth by your progress. And in that world, peace becomes suspicious. Rest becomes laziness with better branding. Joy feels unearned. And you start treating your own nervous system like a machine that should never idle. Let me say the quiet part out loud. A lot of healing content is not designed to finish. It is designed to keep you engaged, to keep you scanning yourself for flaws, to keep you consuming. Because a person who believes they are already worthy is very hard to sell to. Now, I am not saying that therapy is bad. I am not saying reflection is bad. I am saying the goal of real healing is not endless insight. The goal is embodiment, meaning you do not just understand your pattern, you live differently. So the stake in this episode is not stop improving. The stake is this. If you keep treating yourself like a project, you will never get to be an actual person. Growth stays. Obsession goes. Act 2. Mirror the common pattern without the blame. If you are listening to this, there is a decent chance that you are one of the high-effort people. The ones who took responsibility early. The ones who tried to do the math. The ones who saw a generational mess and said, "Not through me." So you learned to self-monitor. You learned to reflect. You learned to fix. And that skill probably saved you at some point. But here's the mirror. A strength can become a cage when you cannot turn it off. At first, self-work feels like relief. Finally, a language for what happened. Finally, a map. Finally, a sense of control. Then, quietly, the map becomes the territory. You stop having a bad day. Now you are dysregulated. You stop feeling hurt. Now you are triggered. You stop feeling unsure. Now you are in a scarcity mindset. And those phrases can absolutely be helpful, yes. I'm not discounting that. But those phrases can also become a way to stay in analysis instead of presence. Because if you are always interpreting yourself, you are not actually living. You are narrating. You are auditing. You are managing your brand internally like you are your own human resources department. And it gets even sneakier. You start equating discomfort with progress. If it hurts, it must be growth. If it is calm, it must be avoidance. So peace starts to feel wrong, like you are missing an assignment. That feeling of peace is wrong. It is self-help fatigue. Not, I am tired, more like, I do not remember what it feels like to be normal without working on myself. And the industry loves a person like that. Because you are conscientious. You want truth. You want responsibility. You will pay for clarity. Which is why so much content subtly frames you as unfinished. Always one more layer. Always one more breakthrough. Always one more wound you forgot to find or you forgot you had. It is like being told you are one epiphany away from being allowed to breathe. Now, here's the gentle punch. If you cannot stop consuming healing content for at least 1 week, it is not education. It is a dependency with just much better fonts and language. Awareness is not the same thing as change. And I will say that again. Awareness is not the same thing as change. Act 3. Sovereignty. Choice, trade-offs, and the 2 loops exit. So what do we do with all this without swinging into denial? Because I can already hear the 2 extremes in the audience. One extreme says, yeah, screw it, I'm perfect, no notes. That is not wholeness, it's ego with incense. The other extreme says, if I stop working on myself, I'll become lazy, selfish, and I'll backslide. Well, that's not responsibility, it's fear pretending to be virtue. Sovereignty is the third option. It is the adult option. It is the only real option. Sovereignty says, I can accept myself fully and still take responsibility for my impact. It says, I can stop treating my feelings like emergencies. It says, I can be a whole person and still have rough edges. Here's the real pivot. Wholeness is not a finish line. It is permission. Permission to live without the constant inner audit. And that is the exit ramp out of optimization culture. You stop asking, what's wrong with me, as your default. You start asking better questions that create actual motion. Try these questions instead. What is this feeling asking me to pay attention to? What value do I want to live today? What would a normal human do with this stress? Not a branded healed human, but a normal human. Do I need insight, or do I just need sleep? Do I need another explanation, or do I need a decision? Because here's the trade-off nobody tells you. Insight feels safe known. Action feels risky unknown. So people get addicted to insight, not because they are weak, because insight gives the illusion of change without the vulnerability of change. You can understand your attachment style for 10 years and still text the same person back at 1 a.m. You can name your trauma responses with perfect vocabulary and still avoid the hard conversation. You can journal about boundaries forever and still never actually enforce one. So, sovereignty means you stop using awareness as a sedative. And this is where I draw the line between integration and avoidance, because this matters. The shadow side. If I'm whole becomes a way to dodge repair, you are not integrating, you are hiding. If you keep hurting people and calling it self-acceptance, that is not peace, that is permission to repeat. If you refuse feedback with, that's just who I am, that is not sovereignty, that is ego protecting comfort. Here's the clean rule. Wholeness doesn't cancel responsibility, it cancels shame. You still apologize. You still change what harms. You still train what's weak. You just stop doing it from self-hatred. You are not a project. You are a person with choices. Make them. Act 4. Gritty invitation. Time box plus metric plus replacement behavior. All right. This week, we're going to run an experiment. Not a philosophy, an experiment. It's going to be the 7-day non-improvement experiment. For 7 days, you will stop consuming self-help content. Stop completely. No podcasts about healing. No reels about trauma. No new frameworks. No 10 signs you're secretly broken. No advice threads from someone who learned psychology on a fucking ring light. And we're going to add one replacement every day. 20 minutes of just living. Not reflecting, not analyzing, living. Pick one from this menu. Walk outside with your phone in your pocket. Lift something heavy or do a simple workout. Make food slowly and enjoy it. Build something, fix something, clean one space. Create something messy. Music, writing, sketching, could be anything. Just create it and create something messy. Call one person and ask one real question. Play like an actual freaking mammal that has 5 minutes of joy left in the world. Now the metric. Every night for 7 nights, rate one thing from 1 to 10. Your presence score. That's what you're going to be rating from 1 to 10. How present was I today from 1 to 10? That's it. That's all you need to rate. That's all you need to measure. Not how healed was I? Not how productive was I? Not how optimized was I? How present? If your presence score rises when you stop working on yourself, guess what? You just found the truth. Your nervous system didn't need another tool. It needed a life. And if you can't stop consuming self-help for a week, hear me clearly. This does not mean you are broken. It means you found the place where growth quietly turned into dependency. Close the tab and go live. So because we're talking about a loop, we're going to go through this again in a different way. The never-ending self-help loop. How it actually traps good people. Let's name the machine, because naming the machine breaks the spell. The personal development industry does not thrive on your success. It thrives on your sense of being unfinished. If you fully believe you are already worthy, a lot of content would become boring overnight. And boredom is the natural enemy of online business models. So the loop gets built like this. First, you get taught a quiet assumption. If you feel discomfort, something must be wrong with you. Then you get taught a second assumption. If you are not improving, you are falling behind. So now you are set up to interpret normal life as a diagnosis. Bad day, new label. Bad mood, new framework. Lonely week, new work. Conflict, new pattern. Rest, now you are avoiding. And you start to equate discomfort with progress. If it hurts, it counts. If it's calm, it must be laziness. If it feels simple, it must be shallow. If it feels peaceful, I must be in denial. That is the trap, because discomfort is not proof of growth. Discomfort is proof you are alive, and your brain is a prediction machine that hates uncertainty. Sometimes discomfort is a signal to change. Sometimes it is a signal to sleep. Sometimes it is a signal that you need people. Sometimes it is just weather in the body. But the self-help loop turns every weather pattern into a construction project. And then the identity forms. I'm a person who does the work, which sounds noble until the unspoken part shows up. If I stop doing the work, I will stop being worthy. That is not healing. It is a treadmill with a therapy quote taped to the fucking dashboard. It's like paying for a gym membership where the staff follows you around yelling, "Have you ever tried being less traumatized?" So here's the question that cuts through it. Are you doing practices that make your life bigger? Or are you doing practices that keep you busy feeling like you are getting somewhere? Because one of those is integration, and the other is just motion that prevents arrival. If your healing never turns into living, it's not a path, it is a loop. Signs you've outgrown the fix myself era and the guilt that tries to pull you back. Now, if you've outgrown the fix myself era, it often does not feel like freedom at first. It feels like guilt. Because you have been trained to assume that if you stop striving, you are failing. So when you finally crave quiet, your brain panics and calls it complacency. Here are the signs you are outgrowing it, and how they usually show up. 1. You're really tired of shadow work, but you feel guilty for resting. Not because you are lazy, because you have confused effort with virtue. Rest starts to feel like you're skipping class, and you can't enjoy it because the whole time you're thinking, "Oh man, I should be processing something." This is not self-awareness, this is self-surveillance. Number 2, you long for presence, but you keep getting pulled back into performance. You catch yourself doing life like it's content. You're not just living the moment, you're narrating it internally like you're writing the caption. Even your calm becomes a flex. Look how regulated I am. That's the ego finding a new outfit. Same ego, just better lighting. Number 3, awareness becomes paralysis. You can explain your pattern perfectly. You can name the origin story. You can trace it to your childhood. You can label it with clean language. But your actual choices stay the exact same. That is the tell. Analysis is not embodiment. It can be the avoidance of embodiment. Sometimes the next chapter is not a deeper insight. Sometimes the next step is just a smaller action. Text that friend, book the appointment, apologize, end the situation, go to the gym, go outside, get some sleep. Sign number 4. Healing becomes self-soothing without action. This one is subtle. Let's say you feel anxious, so you consume a video. You feel stressed, so you read a thread. You feel insecure, so you buy a book. And knowing does calm you down for a minute, because knowledge feels like control. But nothing changes. That's when healing becomes a pacifier. There's no shame here. This happens to smart, conscientious people, especially people who had to become competent early. So the goal is to not stop learning. The goal is to stop using learning as anesthesia. Here are 3 green flags that you're actually moving into wholeness. You can feel a hard emotion without turning it into a project. You can take feedback without collapsing into, "I'm broken." You can rest without needing a justification speech. Remember, if you keep proving you're healing, you are still trapped in the performance. The myth of the finished self, why the finish line is a trap. So let's kill a myth that keeps good people exhausted. There is no final boss version of you, no fully healed certification, no perfect nervous system, no day where life stops handing you new stress, new loss, new weird problems, and new people with the emotional maturity of a wet cardboard box. So if your definition of success is, "I finally feel permanently okay," you will stay stuck forever. Because the target is not real. What is real is this. Peace is not about completion. Peace is about permission. Permission to be human without treating every flaw as a defect. Permission to have rough edges without turning them into a moral crisis. Permission to be inconsistent sometimes without declaring yourself a fraud. And here's the part that hits people in the chest. A lot of best self culture quietly teaches you to sand yourself down, to remove the texture, to become smoother, safer, more polished, and more predictable. Mustn't spook the lemmings. Mustn't break the delicate. Those people usually have a fragile ego and they can shove off, because if push comes to shove, if it's between their ego and you, they're always going to choose their ego. It's like those people can feel love, right? But their fragile ego, like their ego overwrites love. So it's got to be hell. Intensity can be a flaw, or it can be devotion. Sensitivity can be a flaw, or it can be perception. Stubbornness can be a flaw, or it can be integrity aimed poorly. Your job isn't to delete your traits. Your job is to aim your traits. Because trying to become your best self can accidentally remove your real self. You become optimized. You become impressive. You become explainable. You also become less alive. It's like buying a personality update and accidentally uninstalling your soul. So instead of chasing finished, we aim for something far more honest. Integrated. Meaning you know your patterns and you don't let them drive the car. Meaning you can own your impact without self-hatred. Meaning you can keep growing without treating growth like a courtroom. You don't need to be finished. You need to be free. What wholeness actually looks like and how it shows up in real life. Wholeness is not a vibe. It is not a quote. It is not, "I love myself," posted over a sunset. Wholeness is practical. It looks like this. 1. You respond to life instead of rehearsing it. You stop running conversations in your head for hours. You stop writing scripts for people who never read them. You stop living in what if and you return to what now. You still think, but you don't spin. You act. 2. You stop weaponizing awareness against yourself. You don't use your insight as a self-flagellating whip. You don't say, I'm anxious, so I must be failing. You don't say, I got triggered, so I'm not healed. You don't say, I reacted, so I'm back at 0. You treat it like weather. Okay, that's here today. Then you do the next right thing, whatever that is. 3. You have fewer breakthroughs, but deeper presence. This is a big, big sign. When you are stuck in the loop, you chase aha moments because they feel like salvation. When you are integrating, you have far fewer fireworks, far more quiet. You stop needing dramatic realizations to feel like you are moving. You are just living differently. 4. You feel at home in your own skin, even when you're imperfect. Not euphoric, not confident every day, just at home. You can be awkward without spiraling. You can be wrong without collapsing. You can be tired without narrating it as a personal failure. You can be emotional without making it an emergency. You can take a bruise to your ego without punishing or spiraling like a child. And this is where people get it twisted. Wholeness does not mean you never change. Wholeness means you stop changing in order to become worthy. You change because you have values. You change because you care about your impact. You change because you want your life to be better, not because you're trying to earn permission to exist. A whole person still grows, they just don't grow from shame. The piece of non-improvement. What it is and what it is not. Okay, let's be precise, because this phrase can get misunderstood very fast. Non-improvement is not giving up. It is giving up the war. It is the moment you stop treating your life like a before and after photo. It is the moment you stop doing internal performance reviews every time you feel sad, bored, lonely, angry, or uncertain. Because these states are not proof you're broken. They're proof you're a mammal with a brain that hates uncertainty and a heart that gets bruised by life. So what does this piece actually feel like? No chasing. You stop hunting the thing that will finally fix you. You stop reaching for constant insight like it's oxygen. You can still learn, but you don't need learning to feel safe. No proving. You stop needing to demonstrate growth to yourself or others. You don't have to be the most aware person in the room. You don't have to narrate your process. You don't have to add a therapy disclaimer before every boundary. You just live. No branding. This is the sneaky one. Your healing stops being your identity. You are not the trauma person. You are not the attachment style person. You are not the shadow work person. You are just a person who has lived, a person who still lives, a person who will continue to live. Growth without urgency. You can still change habits. You can still train your body. You can still repair relationships. You can still build skills. But it's not frantic. It's not desperate. It's not fueled by the belief that you are running out of time to become acceptable. Rest without guilt. Rest becomes normal again. Not a reward, not a coping strategy, not something you earn after performing. Just rest. And here's the hidden benefit nobody markets because it doesn't sell very well. When you stop chasing improvement, you become more present, naturally. When you become more present, your choices get cleaner. When your choices get cleaner, your life improves anyway. It's almost like you weren't a broken appliance that needed 10 more parts from an online guru named Kai. Remember, Peace is not earned by grinding through yourself. Peace is claimed by stopping the chase. What to do instead of healing forever? A replacement plan that turns insight into actual life. If we're going to stop a loop, we need a replacement that actually fits the need the loop was meeting. For most people, the loop meets one of these needs: control, certainty, relief from anxiety, a sense of progress, a sense of identity, a sense of being good. So we replace it with something that gives real progress without self-punishment. Here's the simple framework. The outward anchor, inward anchor rule. For the next 30 days, pick one outward anchor that makes your life bigger. Pick one inward anchor that keeps you stable. The outward anchor must always be bigger than the inward anchor. Because if your inner work is larger than your life, you will keep circling yourself. Outward anchor options. Choose one of these. Relationships. One real conversation per week. No therapy language, just truth. Craft. Build, write, compose, draw, cook, fix, learn a skill. Body. Lift, train, walk, stretch, martial arts, sports, sweat. Service. Help somebody in a concrete way, not emotionally over-functioning. Play. Do something pointless on purpose, and let it be enough. Inward anchor options. Again, choose one. Sleep at a consistent time. Experience the morning sunlight and a walk. 10 minutes of breathing or quiet. Therapy only if it's currently useful. Journaling only if it ends in a decision and not a spiral. Now, here's the part that makes it real. The less explaining and more living swap. For 1 week, every time you feel the urge to process, explain, or research yourself, do this instead. Ask, what is the smallest outward action that matches my values right now? Then, do it in under 10 minutes. Text the apology. Put the shoes on and walk. Wash the dishes. Write 1 paragraph. Do 10 push-ups. Send the message. Open the document. Take a shower. Step outside. This is how embodiment works. Not through dramatic breakthroughs, through small decisions that create evidence. And we keep one guardrail so we don't confuse wholeness with avoidance. If there is harm, you repair it. If there is pattern, you address it. If there is a boundary, you enforce it. But you stop building a personality around your pain. Your healing should show up as living, not as more journaling about living. All right. Final words. There's nothing wrong with you. You weren't broken. You were conditioned to believe you were. Conditioned by family patterns. Conditioned by culture. Conditioned by algorithms that get paid when you feel slightly behind. Conditioned by an industry that can only grow if you keep thinking you are before picture. So here's the exit. Stop trying to finish the work, because finished is a complete mirage. Instead, become the one who remembers who they are. A person, not a project, not a brand, not a lifelong renovation. A person. You will still have hard days. You will still have triggers. You will still have moments where old patterns tap you on the shoulder. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you are just a human. The difference now is you stop translating every moment into a diagnosis. You stop treating discomfort like a defect. You stop buying new tools when what you really need is a freaking life. And if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Healing ends when you stop using pain as proof that something is wrong with you, and you start using pain as information about what actually matters. So put down the toolkit. Not forever, just long enough to remember that you are not here to be fixed. You are here to live. Close the tab and go live. All right, so let's recap now that if you haven't noticed, we've done this twice on purpose because of the loop. So again, to recap, there are two loops. Integration makes your life bigger. Optimization keeps you feeling unfinished. Those are the two loops. Wholeness doesn't cancel responsibility, it cancels shame. You still repair harm, you just stop whipping yourself. And 3, your healing should show up as living. If healing never turns into actual actions, it is not a path, it's a loop. And so again, run the 7-day non-improvement experiment. No self-help content for 7 days, period. Replace it with 20 minutes of living each day. Every night, rate your presence from 1 to 10. If your presence score rises over the 7 days, you found the truth. Your nervous system needed a life, not another framework. If you know someone who's exhausted from doing the work, tell other people to share this with them. And if this hit you personally, don't overthink it. Try the 7 days. Let your life answer the question.